welcome back to the channel. This is going to be unlike any video I've done before on this channel. This is something that's by popular request. I'm Dr. Vinay Prasad. I'm an epidemiologist. I work here at UCSF. I'm a professor here. I'm also a practicing Hemonc doc. In this video, people have asked me, how do you write so many things? In the last year, we wrote 60-some peer-reviewed papers. I think I wrote about 200 op-eds between my Substack and other people's outlets, news outlets, etc. How did you do all that? Do you stay up all night? And the answer is no. I think the answer is that I write pretty quickly. And in this video, I'm actually going to, in real time, show you me writing an essay. In fact, I'm doing it right now. It's about alcohol. Is it good for you? It appeared on my Substack. How was this filmed? I didn't want to pull any magic tricks, okay? So in front of my bi-weekly lab meeting, my team meeting, some people show up from our lab to the team meeting. I said, we're going to record me writing an essay. I'm going to put it out there, and then I'm going to annotate it, and I'm going to put a video out there, and so people can literally watch in real time me write this essay. During this, people in my team, they push back on me a number of times. They ask for clarification. They ask to fix a typo. That's good. You know, I hope that also reveals a little bit of sort of what our meetings are like. Usually, I think people are even more argumentative, but this is a tamed down version of that. It's good. So in the next, 17 minutes, you're going to see me complete this essay. I've already started it. Alcohol, is it good for you? And let's get into it. Let me put on my headphones and let me talk about it. All right. So right now, this is something I was writing for my Substack. Alcohol, is it good for you? Why what you read is mistaken.
Okay. Next is the added complexity that we all start with a different baseline.
Yeah, so far, what I've tried to outline is what were the endpoints you would even care about if you talk about a question like alcohol? How long am I going to live? How well am I going to live? AKA morbidity or disability. How happy will I be? How do I feel? And how happy are people around me? Okay, so I interrupted myself. The added complexity is we all start from a different baseline. Of course, you have to take people where they are. And the question is, how will advising them to change what they're doing affect their outcomes? So I'm trying to flesh all that out, flesh out the intro to this essay. By the way, I probably should have read this essay again before I did this video because I actually kind of forget what I wrote about in this essay. I think it probably makes the same points that I would make if I were to make it off the cuff right now. Yeah, this is an interesting point. I'm biased, obviously, but why do we have nutritional studies that treat apples differently than fruit by the foot, differently than Coca-Cola?
Yeah,
but when it comes to alcohol,
you can talk. I'm going to cut out all the sound. A glass of
San Bernardus.
Oh yes.
How could a glass of Saint Bernardus
Abitua 12, right?
I think so.
Be treated the same as Mad Dog 2020? Obviously, it's an obvious question. It's an obvious question. That's me and Dr. Olivier. You may know from this channel because we've done a number of videos on the Mulligan Book Club, and we need to get back and finish the last few chapters. So I'm just pointing out that when it comes to alcohol, we treat it in terms of grams, which is ridiculous. We're lumping together all sorts of disparate liquors.
Gamay.
See, Timothy, of course, is from Switzerland, and so he knows the Swiss Gamay wine, which is a delicious, really good wine. Enjoyed a few glasses while I was there. Now I'm talking about effect modification. I mean, alcohol might have different effects based on the climate, if you drink alone or drink with friends, depending on what food you pair it with, whether or not you pair it with food at all. That's all relevant for this debate. What motivated this essay was people had been talking a little bit online about alcohol and what a poison it is, blah, blah, blah. And my point was that that's based on very short-term, studies that often measure surrogate endpoints like cortisol levels or other sort of intracellular levels, which literally tell us very little about living a meaningful and good life. So now I think I'm talking about the inclusion criteria of the study. I'm giving you an example of what a randomized trial might look like that will lend some clarity to this space. It's kind of weird watching me writing this thing that's now been published for a few weeks.
Let's say 6 arms.
6 arms. That's crazy talk. Why so many arms? No, I guess you'll see. Yeah. The control arm is stay the course. The control arm isn't don't drink or drink. The control arm is let people be as they are. That's what we're doing right now. And then all of the intervention arms test either advising them to drink one more or advising them
May
to
I
drink
say something?
one less. What is Timothy going to say?
Don't you think just being randomized in such a trial will automatically modify your way of drinking? There's a risk.
It's a risk, yeah. But probably, I mean, if some arms are decreased and some are increased, then maybe it won't. I mean, it's because we have this pejorative, thing.
What I'm trying to say
I mean, the stay the course group can maybe lower it because just being off. We don't know. Yeah, we don't know.
Well, but I mean, that's what I'm saying. There's some arms that are increased. So, I mean, yes, if you live in a world where you have this pejorative thing. Okay, I want to start by saying,
maybe what I didn't explain to Timothy that I could have done a little bit better was to say that, if you walk into the study and you think alcohol is bad for you, even the control arm might be tempted to decrease. But because some arms are increase and some are decrease, the control arm may feel, and the investigator, I think, will be more even-handed when they consent them. They may not know which direction we actually think is going to be the win. They may, just stay the same because some people think it might be better to drink more. And some people think it might be worse to drink more. That's what I'm trying to convey to him, that I don't know if it will, I think stay the course probably on average will stay the course. Again, I don't know though. It's an empirical question. We got to run the study. He makes a fair point. Maybe they'll augment their behavior. And that is kind of a problem. Now here I'm laying into what people say, how the science is set. The science is not settled. It's very, very reductionist, immature science. I should have said that. Probably the first draft is always too verbose. Probably there's so many words that could be cut out. But we're about 7.5 minutes in. Maybe half the essay is kind of roughly composed. I'm really trying to reiterate this point that I think is lost, that, when you decide to advise someone on alcohol intake, you have to accept the fact that no one is coming in as a blank slate. We all have our patterns, our behaviors. Some of us already drink a beer a day. Some of us don't, And so it has to acknowledge that fact, I think. Yeah, I'm explaining the grams of alcohol idea. Fixing a typo. Some of you people who read the blog, you may know that some typos, they make it to the final cut. Sadly, they make it to the final cut. Sorry about that.
The other question is, if I can ask something.
Yes. Yeah, go.
So how are you going to tell the difference between the types of alcohol that people are using in that hypothetical study?
Exactly. I guess I'll put that in the limitations.
Yeah, that even though I made this study, I still can't tell you if St. Bernardus is good.
And those people are fundamentally different. Like someone who drinks a...
Yeah, exactly. I mean, if you drink Tito's vodka, you're different than drinking the kind of things I like to drink. Expensive.
Correct.
Rich people things. Yeah, okay, no.
Not wrong.
Yeah, you're rich from the Bay Area, so yeah, for sure.
Of course, yeah. I'm a rich YouTuber. What do rich YouTubers drink? Okay, we randomize them 1 to 5. Say the course. Decrease your drink by 1 drink. Increase your drink by 1 drink. Decrease your drink. Then...
Shouldn't there be an arm for no alcohol at all? I think, wasn't that the recommendation from that study, that even 1 drop is bad for you?
All right, so we'll make arm 6. Arm 6, stop all drinking. Arm 7, carpe diem.
It was a good point, so I added 2 more arms. I mean,
okay.
She made a good point. All right, so the writing continues. Okay, now I think I've outlined a skeleton of the trial. I mean, the point the gentleman was making, I don't know if he wants to be named, but the point the gentleman was making was that even though I have 7 arms in my study, I still haven't sorted out the type of alcohol. And I think that's just going to be a fundamental limitation of study number 1. You probably need another study, I think, where maybe you randomize people once you learn something about alcohol to very expensive wine or very cheap wine and follow them out and see what happens. I think that would be quite provocative. Yeah. Some people always say, oh, the randomized trial is no good because you don't have perfect compliance. Hello? That's life. The question is, based on how I'm doing my advising and understanding that people don't always take my advice, what's the best advice I should be giving? And that's literally the question that these trials answer. Because the question is, how should you advise the public from a public health standpoint about alcohol? Right now, the WHO is saying the dumbest thing I've ever heard, which is even 1 drop is poison, as that person was pointing out. They have no good evidence to make that claim. To be honest, that doesn't stop them usually. No good evidence. Never stopped anybody in this line of work. I see somebody's about to jump in and make a point. So I actually think this is pretty typical writing. Maybe, if anything, their questions are good and it's helping me. But when I write without people listening, I probably write a little bit faster.
Well, the people who say yes to signing up for this study won't be representative either. That's another problem. I wouldn't sign up for it.
Go on.
Well, I don't know. That's it.
I guess I'd say we still have not teased apart the types of alcohol. People who choose to sign up are those willing to take suggestions about their alcohol use.
So you just need information about who says no. So you could,
which is a unique subset. However, these are the same people
who seek the advice. That's what I'm trying to say.
Who listen to topical science podcasts and want advice.
Yeah, and would be considered to be the target population for advices.
The target population of people to advise are those who want advice.
He made an excellent
But I mean,
point.
your point is well taken.
I borrowed that
But
point.
I guess I'm framing all this from that recent episode that they're all talking about.
yeah, I don't know it. So
Vinay, drink consmed. It was consumed. It changed in consmed
There was a recent podcast that got this topic, rekindled.
at the beginning of the screen. Consmed. No,
It's what made me write my thing.
yeah. It changed it automatically. Consumed.
Now it looks like there's a period of writing. So yeah, I mean, obviously what made me think of alcohol was in the news. The WHO just had their ridiculous statement. People were making a pledge for dry January. I thought to myself, it's all a bit much. The evidence base is very, very weak. I mean, what do we actually know? Observational study is terribly confounded. It's confounded by, the types of people who are teetotalers, often include people who are very sick, so it creates a big bias in the teetotaling group. The kinds of people who drink 1, 2, 3, or 3+ drinks are all very different types of people. And our question is, what should you advise people, knowing that they all start at different baselines? Observational studies, I don't think, get at causality in this question. They are unable to differentiate types of alcohol. And they have just, so many limitations that they're really practically not useful at all. I don't believe that red wine is protective. That's not my null. I don't believe that 2 drinks a day is harmful for most people. I doubt that's the case. So I'm genuinely in an equipoise. I mean, I really don't know the answer. The other class of things they talked a lot about in the studies was in these episodes, this topical sort of talk was all of the, blood tests that get perturbed if somebody drinks a little bit, or about brain waves when they sleep. These are all surrogate endpoints. It's not really a metric of how people live or function. And now here I make this point that I really do think, which is that there's a huge appetite to know what you ought to do when it comes to alcohol. And so naturally people are going to feel that. And you can't go and say there's massive uncertainty. We really need to do some studies, which is what I'm saying in this video and also in this piece. And so naturally they fill it in based on low quality reductionist science. But we know that that is almost as good as just pulling things out of your ass, frankly. It's just making shit up, which I hate, which is what I hate the most in medicine. I talked about that in my video on myeloma, and I talk about that in COVID-19 policy. So we're almost wrapping up. I think one last comment. Who says something? Maybe it's just me coughing. I'm also quite dissatisfied with my facial
telling.
Yeah, the problem spelling. Just because I'm Indian doesn't mean I won the spelling bee, okay? Not all of us are winners. So back to this video. I'm dissatisfied with the look on my face and the position of my arms. I'm pretty satisfied that this is sort of emblematic of how I write. You see it. You can read the final product on the website. It's different than this a little bit because I did one edit, one final, 10-second skim, but not much different, really. This is really, how I write. This is how I write things from academic papers. I kind of maybe put in a different voice, and how I write, a blog post or a op-ed. Yeah, I do think that the fact that America has always had sort of a, love-hate relationship with alcohol plays a prominent role here. I'm probably repeating myself too much in this essay. All right, closing comments. There's a closing salvo, I see. People have some last thoughts for me, and I hope this gives you a view, a picture of how I write an essay. In the next 2 minutes, I think I'll be done. I'll literally cut the camera, and you will see pretty much this is what it looks like. This is pretty close to the final product.
All right, something like that.
Vinay, I'm sorry, but people could argue that you are saying that what is important is how people feel or how, but maybe some people would say some people will value the length of their life, not just how they feel.
I guess that's point number one. How long will I live?
No, but further down, you say only even now, ironically, these two endpoints will likely drive the entire. I don't know. I don't understand what you want to say here. Actually,
I guess I would say. I would just say how I'll put it different. I'll say.
Okay. But drive the entire study. What do you mean by drive?
I mean, those are the results that will tip the scale.
Okay.
I guess you would need a very long follow-up period if you want to really capture life or disability.
I mean, I think if you pick 65, the 10-year death rate is going to be like 8% or something. So it's non-trivial. I mean, it depends. What do you think the effect size is? These make it seem like, I need to put a note in here about the people in my comments. They're like, oh, alcohol is a neurotoxin. It's a poison. And then this one guy says it perturbs psychological. I'm going to pause for a second.
All right, so that's the video. That's pretty much or pretty close to the final product version of this this essay. Totally different format. I can do this for other things. All right, that's a snapshot. That's how I write an op-ed. If you like this video, you want more videos like this, put it in the comments section. You know what to do. Like, subscribe, comment, leave a message below. And I'll be back, more videos, hopefully taking you through studies, taking you through different things in medicine. Maybe some more sensible medicine podcast videos coming soon. Stay tuned.